Well, hello and good morning. Thank you for joining me here on the beach. It's another pretty one. Like I say, God never, ever, ever disappoints. It's always beautiful in its own way. I wanted to talk about the first time that I ever stepped into the rooms of recovery and how it felt. I certainly was being judgmental of others, looking around the room going, yeah, these people need to be here. Not me. They need to be here. One of the things that really attracted me, though, was a lot of joyousness, laughter, having fun. You know, it's not what I expected. I expected a bunch of old guys, drinking coffee and, grumbling about life. I mean, seriously, what kind of life could they possibly have without drinking? But what I found was something completely different. I found people my age and younger, of course I was younger then too, they were enjoying life. They were actually having fun. That surprised me. It really did. I had no idea that sobriety could be fun. I thought the only way that I could possibly have fun was to add alcohol to the situation. I have to admit, there were times in my life when alcohol did add to the situation. It helped to have a little fun because I was tipsy. Well, as an alcoholic, my first thought was, oh, okay, if I get a little tipsy, I have fun. If I drink more, I'll have more fun, right? There were times when I had fun drinking. However, the fun times started getting less and less, and the tough times started getting more and more. I went on drinking way past the time when it was logical to just set it down, man. It's not working out for you, because it really wasn't. It wasn't working out for me. Bad things were happening in my life. I just was in denial of why those bad things were happening. I thought I was just having a run of bad luck or something. No, it was because I was consuming way too much alcohol. And one of my problems with drinking is that I come up with these grand plans while under the influence. Big choices in life that I make. Life-changing choices that I make while under the influence. It's not a good time to make life-changing choices. My decision-making while under the influence was not at its peak. So making bad choices in life, along with adding alcohol to it, thinking that just a little bit more and I'll be able to have some fun. Like I say, I went way beyond what logic says that it's time to stop. And I was resistant to stopping. Oh my goodness, was I resistant. I like to talk about the consequences because that's what really finally got me to that point where I was just sick and tired of being sick and tired, man. Those consequences is what made me finally look in the mirror and go, Earl, how much more of this crap can you take, man? You got to get to a certain point where that's it. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. If you've watched any of my videos, I've talked about hitting bottom and how important that is. So yeah, hitting bottom's important. But let me tell you something. Hitting that bottom can be very, very painful. And it can be costly. And I don't just mean money. So when I finally got to that point where I was I'd had enough, When I finally got to that point, there were some changes that had to take place. And it wasn't so much changes outside of me, but changes inside of me. It was important that my recovery had to be number one. And unfortunately, it wasn't for quite some time. I still had that notion in the back of my mind that, maybe if I just stop for a while, everything will be fine and I can go back to drinking. Those kind of thoughts, very, very detrimental to my recovery. Because I acted on those. I acted on the thought that, well, if I stay sober for 6 months maybe, then I can go back to drinking. Just kind of give it a break, right? Well, I learned the hard way. And that's why I'm telling you, I'm hoping that you don't have to learn the hard way. They say a wise man learns from his mistakes, but a wiser man learns from somebody else's mistakes. Please, try to learn from my mistakes. You don't have to do it that way. I'm telling you, after 6 months of sobriety, you're still an alcoholic, okay? It doesn't cure itself. It doesn't go away. So yeah, I had to learn the hard way. After 6 months of sobriety, I'm not cured. I'm not okay to drink now. I had to get rid of all reservations. If I had any reservations about quitting drinking, I needed to deal with that, or it would come back to bite me. The other change that needed to take place for me was to not have this attitude that without booze, I can't even survive. I don't know where I got that thought. I guess because I had become so reliant upon alcohol. Not just for a good time, but just to feel normal. It became something that I couldn't live without. Well, I found out that I can live without alcohol. And what's even better is I found out that I can live a much better life without alcohol. But that came through time. So in the beginning, it's tough. There's just no two ways about it. It's tough in the beginning. And anybody in early sobriety that's hearing this right now, my hat goes off to you. Man, I know what it's like. I know what it's like to, have friends that are calling and saying, dude, where the hell are you? Or, people going, has something gotten into you? What's going on? Maybe you should have a drink. Or even those who are trying to be supportive and they make a big deal out of the fact, oh, he's here. Hey, everybody put the booze away. He's stopped drinking. Everybody change your ways of living because of him. I hated that. Don't make a big deal out of my sobriety. Just live and let me live. That's the way I saw it. Another thing that I needed to change, they say you need to change people, places, and things. Those friends I was talking about that were calling and saying, come drink with us. I needed to find new friends, and that was tough, man. That was tough. Some of them were people I'd known for years, and I'll be honest with you, some of them I still know. I just don't kind of hang out with them, I can have an influence on those people eventually, after I've been sober for a while. But in early recovery, it's best to steer clear. So people, places, and things I had to change. I remember, I had this one route that I would take to work and back, and I had little spots that I would stop to buy alcohol or stop in and have a couple drinks, or I had to stop going that way, at least in the beginning. It was too much of a habit, I'm driving by this place every single day. It's a reminder of what I feel like I'm supposed to be doing is going in there. But I'm not anymore. This is the new me. I had to come to terms with that that's not who I am anymore. I am a different person now. They say something along the lines of acting as if. Acting as if you've been sober for a long time. Yeah. That's not easy, I know. Believe me, I know. After making these changes, things start getting a little bit easier because now you're developing a pattern of sobriety, of practicing the principles of recovery. You start noticing things that, I'll be darned. Like, for example, relationships. You know, some of the principles of recovery, one is honesty. You start being honest with people that you're in relationships with, and they react to that. You know, yeah, we can't change people, but when we change ourselves, it changes the way people treat us. And when I changed myself, I became honest and open about who I was as a man. It changed the way people treated me. It changed the way I felt about myself because of that. I have to tell you, that's probably one of the bigger gifts of sobriety is that I'm comfortable with me today. And I can tell that the people around me are comfortable with me. I'm trusted. Wow. That wasn't even important to me back in those days. Who cares? They don't trust me. Move on. Well, it's important to me today. I'm a trusted individual. I can't tell you how valuable that is in relationships. Trust. I don't know how I had relationships before honesty became one of my main principles in life. So, we've just talked about a few of the changes that I had to make in early recovery. And I'm sure that some of you have had to make some major changes in recovery. The paradox of it all is they tell you, hey, no major changes in your first year. Really? It's all about change. I think they're talking like, don't quit your job and find another one. Don't get a divorce and get married again. Don't sell your house and move. Although, whatever it takes, man, staying sober is the top priority, especially in your first year. It's got to be the main thing. So if you're in early sobriety and you're making those changes, please add to the comments, what kind of changes have you had to make? Has it been comfortable? Have you had to change people, places, and things? Have you had to change your route to work and back? What other changes have you made? If you're in early sobriety and you're sober right now, I congratulate you. It's a fantastic thing. You're on your way to being happy, joyous, and free. Hey, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys on the next video. Hey, and by the way, I noticed about 75% of you have not subscribed yet. All you gotta do is hit the button. Subscribe. All right, I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye-bye.